Number one, get rid of a flex. Weirdly enough, they actually tackled Super Prince and Kelra. But again, it was a slightly different time in the meta, so...
I mean, it was slightly different.
Slightly.
That and they put the they put the Edith on Edward.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's
So
true.
they choked that away from Kirk.
So here for CFU, let's see if at least their first phase of banning will reflect that. They take away the Fanny of King Kong, and that's one Super Prince off option away. They take out the Ju Sin. Now I wonder if CFU might be crazy enough to, if it's open, bum rush the low Yi and get it in the first two picks on the red side.
Possibly, but they first need to think about things like Yve. Oh, interesting. They're purposely leaving it open. Huh. That means at least at a bare minimum, we might see Lo Yi. Good chance we see Yve. Good chance we see Hilda as well. And with that Joy Ban, all three are open to make sure that red side have an insane counter engage.
Yeah, and I think with Joy Ban also, that's low Yi Eve trade.
Oh, yeah.
We might be seeing here in the mid lane. First pick though, FNOP. Are they the exception to first picking Suyo? Because King Kong just does it so well, but now Brusco gets his Cho.
Yeah, because you can't take the Hilda, the Eve, and the Louis all at the same time. So something's got to give.
Something has got to give. Personally, for me, I think that it really depends on how afraid are you to deal with Super Prince's Lo Yi. And Lo Yi is really interesting, right? Because again, great in team fights, but the major issue is that you don't know when Lo Yi is going to show up behind you, side of you, flanking you from different angles here. So they're going to deny the Lo Yi, but still 100% pick ban rate in the Hilda as well. Two very big power picks for CFU.
All right, so they are loco enough to actually prioritize the Lo Yi in the first two picks red side. And you mentioned the Hilda, Leo, it does pop up here. For FNOP, do you quickly react and get your power pick? Do you get the Beatrix for Kelra now?
It's a good way to respond to people coming through a diversion.
Sand rises when I give the word.
To vanquish
no.
the shadow.
Oh,
This
Khalid Suyo.
Oh, that's very interesting. Khalid Suyo into this particular matchup, both don't exactly do too well, especially when you're up against a Hilda, but both maintain enough pressure to keep up with the Hilda to make sure that you can at least monitor her as she walks away from the lane.
And now, of course, it becomes the Suyo Alpha trade in the jungle, and now both teams will be, well, for Fnatic Onyx Philippines, no gold and mid yet, while for CFU, no gold and either Roam or XP. Although, wait, are they going to put this Hilda in the Roam instead?
They can flex it.
They can, technically. They can if they want to, but I do want to see a Beatrix ban come out sooner rather than later. They get rid of the Granger, which is already pretty good. Granger's able to open up the map super easily with the Death Sonata at the bare minimum.
Oh, but the thing is now, if we're talking about the big-time gold laners, as we've talked about all throughout the day, Bruno, Granger,
Beatrix.
Beatrix is the last one off left. Let's see if you can pick it 4.
Your team is down.
Ooh, Gatot ban coming in for the side of FNOP, huh? I guess Gatot deal is alright in terms of being an EXP laner to clear waves fast, but also having high impact in that game. At the very least, you can be like, oh, diversion, and then quickly throw yourself into the middle of the fight.
Yeah, it's also, I feel like a Khalid thing. I think I got to talk with a few players, and if they know they have an XP Khalid, so sometimes the XP laner themselves would be the one to say, can we just take out Gatot?
They don't like it.
Yeah, they just don't like it. It's not all the time, but that might be one of the reasons. The other reason is slower backline focused gold laner maybe for Kelra.
Well, yes, but let me get into the micro of it. When you use the not the Raging Sands, or the sand, the tornadoes in the lane, once you hit level 2, he does the first spin, you taunt him, you clear the wave, concussive blast, you walk off, and then you have priority over the lane. That's the micro side of things.
That's why they decided to go for the Gatot removal. Tigreal gets taken away. So they're looking at the Hilda. They're forcing the Hilda into the EXP lane, and they are just removing some key roamers here that could give trouble to the Cho.
Gold laner still at large for both sides.
Oh, where could they go with this? You just pick up the Beatrix here, right? You pick up the Beatrix for yourself, force FNOP to play something that scales a little bit later. Harith, Natan, both can go into this composition very, very well. And then look to final pick maybe Chip, have double global presence.
Oh, thank you for reminding me that Chip is still hotly contested right now, honestly.
Fold the map twice. Fnatic Onyx still need to invest in a good mid laner, though. I don't think
Yes.
these three are going to work alone.
Yeah,
Are we looking at what? A Valentina? An Eve?
as expected.
Steal away the Bea.
I think if you're Kelder, you honestly consider Nathan right now. Because if it's just a Valentina, that's not enough magic, dude.
Do you Veil?
Actually, Veil would be pretty interesting to see, but I personally think that Farsa goes really, really nicely because I don't think anything reaches the backline at this point other than if you diversion them there.
And this is one of the few times that the Aurora is actually open.
Yeah, that too. I mean, all of all of those picks do well as long as they scale, as long as they hold position over that mid lane, and most importantly, can you open up bushes safely without having to put yourself in danger? That's why, as much as I want to say Valentina is going to go great, because at least you deal with two melee heroes, you're still going to get one-shot by a lot of abilities.
All right, they do go magic damage, but it's the Harith over the Nathan.
Crimson
And it's the Sicilian.
Oh.
First Super Friends. They were the first team, if I'm not mistaken, in MPL Philippines Season 14 to show up with the Sicilian. And now it makes a comeback here. They rounded off with magic damage, but the sword hanging over FNOP's head, a potential last pick chip for CFU.
Oh, would chip be enough here? Sicilion's damage is kind of scary, especially when it scales, but more so that Sanguine Claw, particularly dangerous to backliners, especially if it just clips you at the edge.
Yeah, and it misplaces or displaces the Hilda and the chip. Like, you need someone who can cut right through to the back.
So maybe, yeah, it sounds like the Sicilian and Harith were picked because they were thinking of the chip in mind. So does this mean CFU swerve?
Do they have the picks to swerve?
I think the only pick that could help swerve them is probably like a drop or even... Oh, there we go. Another pick-off style of hero. I mean, they're playing... Keep in mind, they're playing Beatrix.
Okay, Franco Beatrix, Franco Loyi, very Indonesia-coded. A shout-out to, if I'm not mistaken, it's Evo Ledges back in MPL Philippines Season 13 who showed me this combo. But it's a Sicilian, and Sicilian's happy to go up against Franco. Ingan Naisu, could you please expound a bit more?
Thank you so much, panel, for that amazing analysis. I mean, looking at the lineups, I know this is going to be a banger. The Beatrix paired up with the Franco for CFU. We've seen it's a sort of similar style with Aurora a while ago with the Kaja and Beatrix, but this time we'll see if you make it work up against a Titan, the champions of the Philippines, Fnatic Onyx. And so far, what can you say? We have another Sicilian here.
We do. Hey, you know what? This could work in their favor, like we saw earlier today with a very long game. But ultimately, too, I'd be a little bit worried if the pickoff potential comes through with that Franco-Beatrix combination.
Yeah. And as we enter the Land of Dawn for match number 7 of day number 2 for the Swiss stage.
Welcome to
You know, the thing is, with the Kaja a while ago from Aurora, it wasn't as active as we wanted it to be, especially if you have a Beatrix up against Harith right now. So right now, if you're OP, you really have to be proactive. Make those... Look for those pickoffs. Activate CFU Gaming right away. Give Sing the space that he needs. Because yesterday, when we saw CFU Gaming go up against NIP Flash, the moment that they gave Sing his power spike, the moment that they gave him a lot of space, he was able to pop off up against NIP Flash.
Definitely was. I mean, that's at this point with the Beatrix, you know, in that matchup against the Harith, they're gonna have to make something work here. Brusco, mind you, yesterday I think he had the record. What was it, the fastest first blood at what, 54 seconds? And this time around, still early pressure. Wadu taking a couple shots, might have taken too many, won't be able to escape that first blood in the hands of King Kong. Might be looking for more. Oh, Detective runs into the wall with the Cyclone Eye, already a double for King Kong.
And that's not what you want if you're going up against Fnatic Onyx, Page. I mean, yesterday they went up against TLID for the fastest game this Swiss stage, 11 minutes and 11 seconds. And assuming that this game goes to the late game, again, they have Super Friends.
OP. Already burning the flicker, and you know, you make a good point here. And most people, you know, the worst person to give that early double kill to is obviously a jungler like the Suyo that really performs really well. Even down a couple health bars, they'll still go ahead and check Wadu. Wadu will be forced out, but this is now a position where Fnatic Onyx Philippines could go ahead and start this turtle up some of the advantage they've already built themselves.
And you're going to expect the XP laners to be as active as possible because, you know, Khalid really activated first 5 minutes. He wants to disrupt as much as possible the rotation of the opposing team, give as much as information as he can, and that's the same goal of the Hilda because towards the mid to late game, these two heroes, especially the Hilda, almost becomes non-existent, especially if the turtle will be secured by Fnatic.
It's going to be secured. King Kong gets it. There's the Raging Sandstorm. Won't be able to find a connection though. They're caught in place and they actually just back off. Kirk as well didn't expend it that way, the Dragon, so easy cuttings for Fnatic on it. They'll go ahead and just get that turtle.
Okay. Now Fnatic is on a roll, controlling the pace. This is what Gideon has been mentioning. They know they're masters of tempo. They know how to break, they know how to utilize the tempo. And so far, with the 2 kills King Kong has picked up early on, they know what to do.
Yeah.
Brusco, the Bruiser, clearly just zoning out CFU Gaming. Again, getting a lot of information for Fnatic on PH. And this is what you want if you're going up against the Luyi. Get as much ground so you can disrupt diversion like this. But okay, OP's gonna miss with his Iron Hook, but it's looking like Super Prince wants to go in.
Super Prince wants to go for Z. There's the Raging Sandstorm. They're gonna be able to pick up the kill this time around for Brusco. Good couple of shots from Super Prince. You know, that's the thing we expect when that Sicilian is there. So Z, even burning the Purify in that exchange. Meanwhile, up top, Kirk will just go ahead and kick Wadu away. He's had enough of that. Kelra he'll actually be able to sidestep that. OP and Zing here both. Malefic Gun now picked up. That's the first priority, but it looks like just gonna go ahead and continue farming up.
Yeah, so for CFU Gaming, again, if you're gonna have a Kaja, a suppress type of hero, a pick-off type of roamer, like the Kaja or the Franco, you have to be as proactive as possible. You don't want your Iron Hooks to miss. You don't want to use the Flicker for the Bloody Hunt combination just for the sake of that, just to get the pick off early on at this stage. So OP really needs to step up for his team right now, but Super Prince with the Sanguine Claws really being a thorn in the neck of CFU Gaming.
Yeah, and even a part of that, I'm wondering if they'll actually be able to contest this turtle coming up. They're just going to secure these buffs here for Detective. Turtle spawns now. Oh, there's the hook. This might be a lockdown they're looking for. Bloody Hunt 2. Taking out Brusco. Good response from CFU.
Diversion?
Diversion going to be used. Get in position. King Kong round the corner, takes the shot, has the information, waiting on the rest of the team. Kirk joins as well. Looks for Wadu, goes in. Doesn't use the kick though, and that'll be the turtle for CFU. Able to find something. It does whittle down that gold lead a little bit that FNOP was building up, but they still have work to do.
And that's what we were saying. OP really needs to connect with the Iron Hook. Oh, kick!
There's the kick from Kirk. Right into the blades of King Kong. And there's a shot. Z has to be careful. He takes another bad impact. But that's why Kirk, he held on to that Way of the Dragon earlier on.
And Fnatic Onyx, again, speaking of tempo, what the panel has been mentioning, normally if you're going to get a turtle taken away from you, you're just going to disengage, regroup, and think things through. But Fnatic Onyx, especially Kirk, wants to go in right away, commits the Flicker, Way of the Dragon combination to make sure that they get the trade, despite CFU Gaming getting a kill plus that turtle.
That's kind of what they have to play around here, Ingon. It's really just the hook, and every time OP, you know, he doesn't land it. We've seen this before where Franco, you know, it's kind of, even if you miss the hooks, it's that one hook that can change the course of a game later on, but you also have to stop the game from just scaling out of favor. Diversion going to be used. They send in the whole team through. Looking to crash down. Brusco in trouble again as he's taken out by Z. Super Prince and Kelra still going to be okay, though. 4 members from CFU focusing on the bottom side. They're going to crash down. Kelra in trouble as a double for Z, and now Super Prince in trouble as they pick up another kill. And CFU now taking the momentum just around the corner. King Kong and Kirk waiting patiently, but they don't want anything to do with CFU right there.
They don't want to smoke. They don't want to overcommit up against CFU Gaming. That was a huge play, but Kirk
could be in trouble. Does get away, still has the safety of the turret. Brusco, but look at all the bodies here on the bottom side. And Brusco has to flicker out. The hook is actually going to land, and a good hook. Raging Sandstorm on the defense, and now Kelra joining the fight. Pops the Zaman Force just to cover. And Super Prince will help him out. Good thing Brusco stays alive. They trade the objective as the turtle, the last one of the game, goes to FNOP.
So CFU Gaming was able to secure a turret down bottom, But in exchange, they wanted to go for a kill onto Brusco. They did, however, expend his flicker, but the problem was Fnatic Onyx was ready for that, and they were 2 steps ahead because they wanted to go for the trade for the Turtle Instant, and they were successful in doing so. So right now, Fnatic still clinging on to that 2.2k gold lead. But the thing is, for CFU Gaming, they have a lot of entry points. They have the Iron Hook, they have the Flicker, Bloody Hunt, and apart from that, the diversion plays that Z at any given moment can give out.
It's funny because, you know, that's an early winner crown, man, for OP. Has the rapid boots, he's got the speed, and he's got the freeze as well. Look at the play, though. Up here, the tier 2 was being worked on the whole time. And now they're going to go take this purple buff away. There's the pull, though. Brusco jumps on in. Kirk's already out. Kelra drops the Zom in force. King Kong takes the shot on the backside. There's no turret to help them out. They're still taking the brunt of the damage, and they have to back off. As FNOP loses 2. OP with a flicker back after the hook. And there's the shot from Zing. Finally lining it up and takes out King Kong.
CFU shocking Fnatic Onyx Philippines with a quick response, a quick diversion play onto their jungle, onto their middle lane, disrupting the plans of Fnatic Onyx Philippines. And again, OP stepping up to the plate, connecting with the Iron Hooks, connecting with the Bloody Hunt. And again, going back at the item builds, first item, Winter Crown. So you know he's willing to dive in, cast that Flicker, Bloody Hunt, then eventually cast that Winter Crown to evade a potential death. Now CFU Gaming, all eyes are on the mid lane. Brusco pops his conceal. As CFU Gaming just really trying to get the upper hand here, providing a lot of vision, but look at Kirk, okay? He's not gonna make a play there, but he does have a lot of information, especially coming in to this very first Lord.
Given the information that they need, this is the thing, OP, you know, he's, I don't know, that Winter Crown really helping him out, landing the hooks that he needs to land. And now that the Lord is up, Fnatic actually gets checked into a position where they can't confidently just go ahead and start this up and take it. You know, they really have to respect the fact that CFU has been winning the past few minutes. Yeah, that tier 2 was down in the mid lane, but at what cost at the same time? There it is again. King Kong will avoid that hook. They're going to crash down looking for Wadu, but there's Kirk with the kick right on the mark, and then the Raging Sandstorm in the backside. They're cut off into 2. Brusco will heal back up, and Detective gets taken out. A great team fight from FNOP, and now the Lord on their sights for the taking.
Just like that, Fnatic once again back on top, back on full control. We'll get an uncontested Lord for the taking. And this is what happens when the Iron Hook is already casted. King Kong was able to evade that. That's why CFU Gaming, they had no initiations during that time. They had no time to diversion out of the play. And Fnatic Onyx, they were just on the chase. Brusco, I mean, casting the Raging Sandstorm to make sure that CFU Gaming cannot retreat. And at the same time, Kirk with Jit Kundu Flicker combination to make sure that they get the necessary kills that they need for CFU Gaming to not contest for this Lord anymore. And looking at the gold difference, 8.1k for Kelra, clearly having a good time with this Harith. But the problem is Kelra's not the main problem. It's going to be Super Prince. Later, it's Super Prince now. Yep. So CFU Gaming, they really have to go for the backline and make sure to contain Super Prince.
This is insane, too. King Kong, level 15, the Detectives, level 11. I mean, they're going to clear out this Lord just fine, but Kirk goes in with a kick again, the way the Dragon right on the mark, and Wadu taken out in an instance, and that's the overload of damage that this lineup from FNOP gives. They won't get to the base turrets just yet. Looks like CFU will be able to hold on to the shields unless they put the pressure in this mid lane, just trying to get the shields down. Not sure if they're able to, they do dodge that hook. So that might be all they get. Still eyes up here on the top side from FNOP to get that tier 2 down.
Okay, so now it's in the hands of Z. OP, I mean, he's been connecting with the Iron Hooks, connecting with the Bloody Hunt, and this time they really need to have a beautiful diversion play. Might be to contest for the second Lord, might be to catch Fnatic Onyx Page off guard when they're going to get the purple buff like this potential play.
All right, they're going to be seen. And, you know, I think that's what CFU has to do. You know, they've done relatively well throughout the mid to late game transition of this game, but I think now they've got to really rely on the diversion use. They've got to be able to go ahead and maybe pull a surprise on Fnatic Onyx Philippines through this, because you're seeing it. Just like we got a preview earlier, there's the stat count for Super Prince right now. So you got 207.
Yeah, and we just clarified a while ago during the at the backstage at Talent Lounge that there's no cap when it comes to the stacks of the Sicilian. So if this game goes to a really, really, really long game, it's going to be beneficial actually for the side of Fnatic, Onyx, Philippines. But with a 4.5k gold lead, I don't think they'll even reach the late game with how Fnatic is playing right now, unless we go back to your point. Z performs a phenomenal diversion play, catch Super Friends off guard. Again, it's a suppress bloody hunt from OP. And if he manages to get Super Friends or even just Killra, Fnatic Onyx can actually they can actually force Fnatic Onyx to back away and eventually get the Lord for themselves. And looking at the item builds, there's a Malefic Gun, Sea Helper, for Sing. So in terms of damage, physical damage, they're not gonna lack that. They can actually make a potential burst play, especially if OP again catches someone with his Iron Hook.
It's gonna have to. This time around, they're gonna set up around this Lord. There's a concealed. Brusco gives him the information. Wadu again at the front of it all. The Lord's gonna be taken, and CFU tries to take it. Detective will be able to secure the Lord, but who's gonna win the fight? Wadu in trouble. He goes down. The trade already, the 1 for 2, but Kirk on the hunt, looking for it, flickers in. There's the kick, but the diversion will save him. They get back to base with a crown there, and now FNOP has to clear out the Lord. Good usage, though, to stay alive for CFU. But FNOP, how are they going to play around this? They have 4 members ready to go ahead and push in.
Detective got left behind with that diversion play. He became the sacrificial lamb for CFU Gaming. That's why CFU, they weren't able to utilize the Lord that Fnatic Onyx easily bursted down, and now they have to watch out for the range that Super Friends has been showing with the Sanguine Claws, with the Bat's Impact, especially at this point in the game. Already has 200 plus stacks with the Bat's Impact, and it's going to be crucial for CFU Gaming to get the necessary pickoffs that they need. OP once again needs to find the proper target. Super Friends, Killra, King Kong, or King Kong whenever there's a neutral objective like the Lord for the taking. And at this point, Fnatic Onyx Philippines 5k, they're just really waiting for that Lord once again before they end this game. But there's the diversion play. Are they gonna commit though?
Diversion again, right into Brusco's arms, locked down too. But they're gonna fight anyway. Kirk gone out of the picture as well. Super Friends firing off from the backside. Pops the Bat's Feast, and the Bat Impacts are too much to handle. Super Friends and King Kong will get the wipeout. The 2 of them will march down the mid lane, and it's way too long for the rest of these death timers to come up. They march in with the minions. The mid turret's gonna go down. They should have enough clear to go ahead and close out the game as King Kong and Super Friends will cap out this best of 1 against CFU Gaming.
The Super Family once again reigns supreme. Despite the unexpected diversion play, despite the pickoff onto Brusco, you cannot count out the mechanics, the Sicilian of Super Friends, one of the most unsung heroes in this M series. What a huge win for Fnatic, going up 2-0 in the standings, Naisu. I mean, do you expect CFU though to be this aggressive, to go head-to-head with Fnatic Onyx? Because this was quite a close match, and I'm just really excited what the panel has to say for this phenomenal performance, this phenomenal game. Panel, take it away.
Again, the first Sicilian in MPL Philippines Season 4 team to leave a lasting mark, and he brings it to the world stage. Hell of a performance by the Friends of Darkness.
Monster Mage.
The Monster Mage.
Really good stuff based on what we've seen. However, I will say at least CFU, despite having a difficult comp, again, most people would have expected, oh yeah, it's unplayable, right? Every hook that you land, if it's not a priority target, it ain't worth it. You bloody hunt anybody, it's gonna get canceled out, no problem. OP straight away, didn't even go greed out for a fleeing time, went straight into the Winter Crown to make things happen.
Yeah, you could tell from the CFU side there was a lot of respect from what they did in game. Their rotations and their itemization. That you cannot take away from them, Leo.
It's as proactive as you can get against a team that drafted a lineup that they were very comfortable with, but just the same is experimental enough that you'll have to temper your expectations. So CFU were juggling a lot going into this match.
We'll break down the game a little bit more later on, but of course, let's hear first from a member of Fnatic Onyx Philippines with Rose.
Fnatic Onyx Philippines getting very, very comfortable in the Swiss stage 2-0, just 1 step away from the knockout stage. And with me over here, we have Brusco. First of all, Brusco, how are you feeling? How are you doing?
Mabuti kasi nagawa namin yung ginagawa namin sa scrim.
Okay, he said he feels good because they managed to pull off what they usually do in scrims. Okay, now as we all know, right now Fnatic Onyx Philippines 2-0, and you guys are a force to deal with. Technically, you guys are going full force. Now, I have a question. What is the biggest contribution to your success this year?
Siguro yung number one na contribution niyo si coach. Kasi siya yung tumulong sa akin talaga nung nasa baba pa ako. Parang sinabi niya sa akin kaya man, may tiwala kami sa'yo.
Oh, okay. So he feels as if the biggest contribution to his performance this year is actually his coach. Because when he was at his technically lowest, his coach was always motivating him and telling him that, you know what, you got this, we trust you, just keep moving forward, we got you. So I like that a lot. Okay, Brusco, since you guys are the champion of MPL Philippines, and we all know that the Philippines are the defending champions of M Series, and not just that, but also 4 times in a row, do you feel extra pressured by your fellow Filipinos?
Siguro po hindi po kami na-pressure Parang excited pa kami na kami magde-defend ng championship.
Wow, okay. This is nice. He said that actually, him as a Filipino, he doesn't feel pressured playing on the world stage because it gives him the extra drive to actually perform better and hopefully defend the world championship for the Filipino team. Okay, last question, personal question to ha. Okay, now we both know that the last match of the day, you will have your ex-coach, Coach Vren in Team Spirit, and your ex-team, RRQ. Who do you want to get a 2-0 so that you can potentially meet them tomorrow?
RRQ.
RRQ, why RRQ?
Mga kaibigan ko yung mga nandun
All your friends, so like friendly rivalry also. Do you have anything to say to them?
Sana magkatapat tayo bukas.
Okay, he said, I hope to meet you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much, Brusco. An amazing performance from Fnatic Onyx Philippines. And with that, let us throw it back to the panel to break down what happened in this incredible game against CFU Gaming.
The Bruiser staying humble and already telling the world, yeah, no, we are motivated to defend the World Championship for the Philippines. Congratulations again to Fnatic Onyx PH. And yeah, going back to what we were talking about earlier, CFU did test Fnatic Onyx PH at key times. But Leo, I think you and I both gotta admit here, that felt like classic Fnatic Onyx PH in the sense of, oh no, they lost the fight. But what is the opponent actually getting in the map?
Yep, that's the secondary nature of Fnatic Onyx greatness, their macro sense. The fact that even on a micro level, the fact that they're so adept at team fighting, they know even the limits of what their opponents are capable of getting, and they're able to, again, through the leadership of the Monster Mage, through Super Friends, say, yeah, no, I see where this is going, it's fine, keep going, keep going. And maybe there were 1 or 2 moments wherein even the likes of the Beast King Kong would look for more than he could have gotten. Yeah. Got punished on the backswing of that too. Understood that that wasn't as hard of a punish as possible. So this is just Fnatic Onyx playing into their style. Again, respect to CFU Gaming, but there wasn't much that they were doing to really test what Fnatic Onyx was capable of.
I think at the very least, it just goes to show that they have the mechanics at least to challenge, and honestly some really good ideas to make something that feels impossible very possible in this game, right? OP, for an example, taking that Winter Crown, such an integral part to their composition because they need to play around that Bloody Hunt, but at the same time, look at how greedy the lineup we see from FNOP's side. Super Friends must maintain maximum distance at all times. Why? Because he has a Flicker and not a Purify. So if he gets hit by a hook, it's pretty much game over for him, right? But then we look across the board. Where is all this money coming in from King Kong? And like you guys mentioned, the macro sense comes into play. We lose 3 on the bot side of the map, but we get 2 tier 1 turrets, as well as your top side jungle on top of your purple buff at the same time. And then we look to collapse later down the line, maybe even sacrifice another kill. But as long as we trade equally, there is a gold surplus.
Now that we're talking about King Kong, check out his boots of choice, the cooldown boots. This is going to come in handy when you're looking at the highlights. I don't know if you'll catch a few of these moments, but you'll see that he's so good at dodging key ults, so good at dodging Spears of Alpha, so good at dodging hooks from the Franco, because he uses, if I'm not mistaken, the Surge. Tap Surge right when he sees the hook coming in, clicking it as a tap, coming back into the fight with a hold something else. Definitely because of his extra cooldown and his just out of this world game sense.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of our really tenured viewers would like us to point out as a panel. Yes, we saw those moments wherein the hook of the Franco would land, but the interesting interaction with that Suyo Blade Surge dagger toss. The moment that dagger is tossed, nothing is going to stop the Suyo from actually teleporting to it. So the times where you saw the hook latch onto the Suyo, but the Suyo still got to dash away, that's because the dagger was already thrown out. Great little micro learning from us here, because we don't see Franco often, especially up against a Suyo. So it's great that we got to witness it here.
Must have been something they've been practicing in scrims.
Maybe. That could be something that they've been practicing. But also one more thing in his choice of boots. He could have gone tough boots if he wanted to, but opted not to and went for CDR. And that's just to compensate for the recent nerfs towards Suyo side, increasing his cooldown. This makes him feel a lot better coming into the mid-game and more similar to where he was before.
Yeah, it makes him a little bit more high risk, high reward, but not with two very great Suyo performances under his belt. I think it's a little bit more rewarding for King Kong to actually end up with that hero, so that might be something that teams that will be facing off against FNOP in the best of threes in the 2-0 side of the bracket will look into taking out away from him. Excuse me, Super Friends, what the heck is that damage?
Yup, I was going to point that out as well. Super Friends, he's dealing too much. It's ridiculous what he's getting away with here. And at the same time, you would have imagined that CFU is looking to compromise his position, especially when you have Wadu on a Hilda of all things, but even then, yeah, you gotta give credit where credit is due. Space being created by Kirk, information being relayed by both Kelra as well as Kirk, allowing Super Friends and King Kong to make some efficient decisions on the map.
Not to mention Brusco. Brusco, in effect, kind of pushes them away into a place where Super Friends can say, yep, that's where I'm landing my ults, that's where I'm landing my claws and my feasts.
Yeah.
And my, what's the other one?
Bad impact.
The impacts. There you go. So if Brusco and Kirk are giving this kind of information, Super Friends is landing the damage there. If not, they suffer from Kelra.
World, this is Prince Miguel Ramirez, someone who has been often overlooked at home, now finally making a big impact on a championship-winning team. Still, for some reason, overlooked. But now here he is on the world stage saying, look at me, I am a monster mage. 4-1-12 on that Sicilian.
It's a stellar performance. Truly a dangerous force in that mid lane, and he somehow consistently provides these types of performances, right? Let's quickly look at the highlights here real quick, because again, you'll just notice that he is just doing absolutely everything right. Chunking out Z before he can even play the game, and that allows them to actually open up more opportunities. Look at his positioning here. Runs past two people and sets it up to ensure that he gets maximum damage while still avoiding alpha. Like, these moments keep going on and on and on. Nothing seems to get past him.
And I think we're also reminded as to why Super Friends, or excuse me, the Sicilian is pick that's often reserved, saved best for last, but it's gone so well. Remember, earlier today, we saw another iconic mage Sicilian performance in Coffin.
That's right.
From Twisted Minds.
And you'll see the same thing. Once the Sicilian knows, or the player on Sicilian finds where the opponents are, it just follows. That's the nature of the hero. The Bat's impact, after it hits, you get it on cooldown, it hits again, it's better damage, it's more pain. And looking at the lineup from CFU, we mentioned this, how the Hilda, the Alpha, and the Franco are going to suffer because of their range.